The finale is finally here for the boys, so let's get into it. The episode begins with Vought's VNN morning news show covering the news that A-Train's movie has been shelved. This basically reflects the decision that Warner Bros. Has been making with shelving finished movies for a tax write-off. We then see VNN cover Congress certifying the election results with Senator Calhoun, whom we last saw in the Tech Night episode. We see him pointing to his left, but on our right, where the Republicans usually sit in Congress, signifying that the deal that was made with the elite in the same episode. See, that episode had more than just traumatizing Huey, although that was a big part of it. MM is pushing Frenchie to hurry up with recreating the virus that can kill Soups. What's interesting is that in this scene, MM is wearing a Dead Prez t-shirt, hinting at the episode's premise of assassination. Interesting too is that Amazon has had to change the episode title from Assassination Run to just the generic Season 4 finale due to certain recent historical events. These episodes were shot in early 2023, by the way, for those of you who don't know the magic behind the curtain of filmmaking, so put the tinfoil hats down. In the next scene, we see Huey attempting to get into the FBSA database, looking for Shifter's potential identity. When the Shifter, who is just wearing Annie's skin, enters the room and proposes to Huey. Man, he just can't catch a break this season, can he? The next scene has Butcher lying in a hospital. He got there when Joe had his head scrambled at the bar with some good Samaritans calling 911. It looks like the CIA caught wind of this and sent him to a special facility. We then see Joe fully embracing the Man in Black persona at this point, still trying to push Butcher to accept his darker impulses. Initially reflecting on this character, I thought, was the real Joe Kessler this bad? The answer would probably be a mixed bag. Butcher's brain essentially has created this persona using a guy that he was close with during wartime and attached his deepest hatreds for Soups within the personality, making his own boogeyman or devil. The real Joe probably wasn't even this bad, but Butcher needs something to talk to, something to fight against, and who better than an old war buddy who had the same mission? After pushing him away again, Grace Mallory appears, confirming that the CIA intercepted Butcher when he passed out and took him to a government hospital. Butcher then begins work and calls contacts as a last-ditch effort to stop Homelander's plans. In the next scene, we see Homelander open up his private chest with his pictures of Stormfront and his jar of gray hairs inside. We see him pull out a clump and remark the words, "disgusting." This, I think, is something deeper that will be explored in Season 5. We haven't touched on Homelander aging too much this season at all. Other than the gray hair in the bathroom and Sister Sage's analysis at the beginning of Season 4, Homelander sees this as a weakness, like he's always wanted to be like chiseled marble. Much like the statues in his penthouse, he sees aging as something that makes him human, and he's disturbed by that, being related to the human beings he sees as sub-creatures, the humans who have always been trying to hurt him his entire life. He can't stand even being remotely like. We then see Homelander notice Ryan's belongings and root through them. Inside, he finds a photo of Butcher, Becca, and Tara, the photo that inspired Ryan to defy his father on live TV in the last episode. Homelander doesn't exactly take this news well. Ryan enters the room after Homelander trashes it, and he confronts him on it, being less fatherly and more authoritarian about it. Ryan then leaves. We then cut to a fake Annie talking to the real Annie. We also learn more about the Shifter and how they've been tasked with assassinating the president using Annie's likeness. Then, after some villain monologuing, the Shifter tells them that they have identity issues, but not to worry, as they will have a real long time to work them out. Huey then calls Butcher, looking to him for help. Butcher in this scene is sort of giving Huey his last will and testament, and requesting that Huey go to the topless steakhouse in Nevada for him, and his brother Lenny. This scene is technically the last time that Butcher will speak to Huey before he becomes overtaken by Kessler later this episode. So in a way, this is like when the hero is dying and giving his final request to the person holding him. We then cut to Firecracker's Truth Bomb, where Homelander and Victoria Newman make an appearance. Between a tense exchange, Homelander does that thing that he does where he exposes someone on live TV in front of people, like he did with Queen Maeve. He does this by legit lasering Victoria, activating her powers. Victoria is angry with Homelander for exposing her secret and throwing the original plan in the garbage. She then says Homelander will need to arrest half the company and half the country for this plan to not go down in flames. Homelander didn't think of that, as shown with this hilarious pause. He then has Ashley make essentially a kill list immediately. This scene really brings to light that Homelander, although a big and scary with his powers of a god, isn't exactly the biggest schemer, really relying on others to make things work around him, and using his status to influence the rest, like Senator Calhoun. With the certification of the election, it's then go time, with Victoria Newman supposedly planning to kill Singer, and everyone is on high alert. In the next scene, we see Ryan visit Butcher in the hospital, with Butcher telling him that he needs to go with Grace Mallory to keep him safe from Homelander. But Ryan isn't too keen on leaving, saying he actually likes some parts of staying at the 7 Tower. Butcher, still going light on Ryan with the influence of Becca, decides to let him make his own choice. We go back to the 7 Tower, where we see our friend the Deep, or Peak, as some people like to call him, still mourning the death of Ambrosia, his octopus lady from the last episode. As the Seven joins in for a meeting, Ashley hands Homelander his list of names. Firecracker then gives Homelander some milk, to which he can legit taste the last thing that she ate. Gross. By the way, this is making her sick, leading to this awkward scene where Homelander has her move down a seat when she starts coughing. Homelander then hands the kill list to the Seven, saying that they need to be removed by the end of the day. The Deep suggests Ashley as well, to which Homelander quickly replies, yeah, sure, like if you asked him if he wanted to go to McDonald's or not. We then see Ashley, famously close to the doors all the time, hear this whole thing, leg it straight to Homelander's penthouse, where she injects herself with Compound V. We then see her head morph as she screams out in agony, and that's the last we see of her this season. I think that her head is going to morph and she's going to turn into some kind of abomination that Homelander and the Seven will find. After taking V, they probably can't kill her, so they will likely keep her locked up in the basement of the Seven Tower, probably to help the boys in their last season somehow. It just really looks that way. And from the transformation, I don't think that Kripke and the Writers gang are really going to give her any useful power. Back in New Jersey, we see the boys with the CIA and the Secret Service as they protect President Singer. The shifter is still in Annie's body and in there with them. When they say the line, "It's like a furnace in here," that's when Huey finally puts the puzzle pieces together. We cut to Annie painfully removing her braces from her hands. It looks painful, but she'll heal quickly. Back in the bunker, Huey tells MM about the shifter taking Annie's body after a weird exchange where both of them basically give away that they know. Shifter Annie attacks, knowing that she's been figured out. Then an extended fight sequence happens and President Singer starts to try to leave, but the safe house has a door that is moving extremely slow. Now here's a funny fact about that door actually. During the production, Eric Kripke had one note basically saying, "Make it go slower," just to add to the comedy of the bit. I mean, I laughed. We then get Annie back down in the bunker, giving the boys a chance to escape while she kills the imposter. After choking them out, it looks like Annie is wearing a Firecracker t-shirt, just adding to the fact that the shifter was just torturing Annie the whole time and getting a sick kick out of it. Looking back, Annie really should have checked with a double tap. Seriously, I hate it when characters do this. You make sure that the bad guy is dead, and don't take any chances. It doesn't even look like Annie fully neutralized the shifter either. They just went limp after a monologue. "I'm the bitch beating your ass. Bleh." Honestly, the weakest kill in the whole series. Back in the Seven Tower, we get Homelander getting a call with Victoria. She's angry that the assassin failed and is yelling at Homelander to get Sage back on so that she can save them. Homelander doesn't like her tone and threatens her and her daughter. Really great choice of alliances there, Vicky. This pushes her over the edge as she decides to betray Homelander. In the next scene, we see that Frenchie has fully synthesized the virus. He asks what happened as the gang looks all worn out, to which Kimiko gives an adorable wave. Gotta love it. She gets her neck brutally snapped in the scene before, and here she is just waving adorably. Huey and Annie then reconnect. We get a confirmed timeline that the episode was 10 days from when Annie got kidnapped. But I noticed a slight inconsistency. Annie stated that it was 10 days since she disappeared that night at the bar after the big fight. That day has been confirmed as Christmas Day, with Butcher saying it's Christmas during the big fight and the Avenue V Christmas special being shown live. This current episode takes place on January 6th. So if you look at the calendar, December 25th to January 6th is actually 13 days in total. So either the writers overlooked the number of days or I'm missing something here. Maybe Annie lost track of time while she was being held captive? Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Additionally, in this scene, we see Annie yell at Huey, upset that he put the ring on the shifter's hand. I understand that Annie is upset, and she has a right to be, but the shifter turned themselves into a perfect copy of her, right down to the memories. Well, almost perfect. I figured that the shifter has Annie's memories jammed in there, but of course, since the shifter has multiple memories crammed in their head, I imagine that it's not a perfect carbon copy to anyone who knows them, a la Huey. So giving Huey some credit, he figured out that the shifter was a fake before Annie showed up, making him a better boyfriend than Annie seemingly initially gives him credit for, even listing out the things that he thought were off. From the designer dress to not finding the car keys to being 95% pashmina. For those who needed to Google it, by the way, he means that she's cold all the time, so she typically wears warm clothing all season. Pashmina is like a cashmere kind of sweater thing. It kind of checks out if you look at Starlight's wardrobe. Huey then gets a call. It's Victoria Newman, ready to turn turncoat on Homelander. Huey initially thinks that this is a joke, but Victoria shoots back that this fight is never going to end and that Homelander is just unhinged. I mean, I wonder how she noticed that initially and not, since the start. She then begs Huey to help her and her daughter get out of the situation. Back at the Seven Tower, the team is going down the kill list. Firecracker seems to be getting more sick, but she seems fine enough to still kill. The Deep then corners a writer and makes him do this weird thing where he wants him to kind of say that he's the smartest superhero in the Seven, highlighting the Deep's insecurities. The entire series, the Deep has been coming face to face with the fact that everyone just sees him as this dumb surfer dude who can talk to fish. I mean, he is, but he's now on a darker path because his allegiances have made him kill arguably the only octopus that really gave a damn about him. He's now trying to find that validation somewhere else. Can't get it from the writer dude though, as he gives him a new face hole. We also see Noir kill the other Ashley. Noir also comments on getting a murder boner, meaning that he's getting more into the role of old Noir. Back at the warehouse, the boys discuss flipping Victoria Newman. Huey is in favor, but the rest of them don't seem so moved. However, until MM brings up that A-Train flipping, who, by the way, isn't seen in person this entire episode, breaking Jesse T. Usher's streak of being shown in almost every episode of The Boys. The gang then agrees. We then see Kimiko and Frenchie have a scene together and finally kiss, bringing Frenchie and Kimiko's ship full circle. Okay, they did it. You guys can stop complaining now. Jesus Christ, it was half the comments. Back at the hospital, Butcher, Ryan, and Mallory are discussing things. Mallory hears of the assassination attempt and finally says that Ryan needs to know the whole truth, that Ryan is the only way to kill Homelander and he's the only one powerful enough to stop him. Ryan then demands to be let out, but Mallory refuses. Ryan then pushes Mallory against the wall, killing her, and then leaves the room. Butcher then looks to Joe after seeing what Ryan has done and finally gives in to his own personal devil. Back at the warehouse, the boys and Newman are constructing their plans to take down Vought and Homelander in order to secure Victoria's freedom. Butcher then comes in completely back to 100%. It looks like giving in to Kessler has given him more time. Then we see black tendrils coming from his chest. He then rips Victoria Newman in half as he takes the virus. We now see Butcher in his Venom era, with the cancer turbocharged by Compound V in his system and Joe Kessler finally taking over his head. Butcher is doing his heel turn like he did in the comics, only this time he's fully set on killing Homelander by himself in a sort of suicide mission. Back at Homelander's penthouse, we see Homelander resign that he's lost. Newman is dead and his assassin failed. His plan has gone up in smoke, but Sister Sage comes back into the picture. She kept most of the plan to herself, never trusting Newman in the first place. We also see on the TV that the shifter caught footage of President Singer calling for her death. This results in him being arrested and the boys also being implicated in her death. She then hands Homelander the phone with Senator Calhoun, who's always been loyal. Seeing as he's the Speaker of the House, with the two direct lines of power eliminated, he is now the president, giving Homelander direct control. After a bit more I told you so energy, she then leaves and Homelander speaks to Calhoun. We then get the next 10 minutes of the finale, arguably some of the best in the season. It starts with Calhoun declaring martial law, giving Homelander unchecked power to deputize Supes in order to flush out the Starlighters from the government, blaming them for the political turmoil. We also see the boys prepare to leave the country when they all get ambushed by Homelander's deputized Supes. Frenchie and Kimiko by Kate and Sam, MM by Love Sausage, with even the Amazon Prime Video trivia calling him his arch nemesis. And before you ask, didn't Love Sausage lose his powers at Herogasm? How is he back at full mast? Well, as Kimiko demonstrated back in the third season, you can gain your powers back by simply injecting yourself with Compound V. Annie and Huey are ambushed by Cindy from season 2, the insanely powerful psychic Supe. Starlight knows that this is a death sentence for her, so she runs away, but Huey is captured. Frenchie is taken away too by Kate, while Kimiko is restrained by Sam. She also says her first word of the entire series. We then see Butcher riding into the night with the Supe-killing virus. The entire US is now under Homelander's control, as Butcher rides into the night, aiming to finish Homelander once and for all. We also got a post-credit scene this season. So, with it, we saw Homelander walk into Soldier Boy's habitation room. Senator Calhoun was debriefed and found out about him and called Homelander immediately. Homelander, looking upon his father, essentially will have to just deal with him next season. Wow, what a finale. It speaks to the fact that some of the fans have reversed what they said about the show in the last 10 minutes. I don't know if that says more about the fans or the pacing of the show, considering it was a setup season for the finale. If you're wondering about season 5, well, we have a bit of a wait. The season is currently being written and plans to shoot around November into mid-2025. Given how long post-production usually takes on a show like this, I'd say it'd be around summer 2026 before we get the final season of The Boys. But on the bright side, the new season of Gen V will be able to tide us over when that premieres, probably around mid-2025 as they're shooting right now. What did you think about the finale? Let us know in the comments down below.